Alright, topic today is ordering decimals. I'm going to show you a few different ways to do this. One is just going to be basically paper, pencil, and look at it, but the way I really want you to pay attention to and make some connections is the visuals here. Please write these two decimals down. We've got 2 and 6/10, and we have 2 and 75 thousandths. Okay. I want to show you a couple of surefire ways to see which one of these is larger. Now, we've used this before, and I want to show you because this is a really easy way to tell which one is bigger. A lot of people think the longer the decimal, the bigger it is. Okay, it could be bigger, but if we look at the picture here that I have, I think it tells a pretty good story. Here is our 2 and 6/10. Okay, we've got our two holes, and we've used this before, so you should know how this works. We've got our two holes, and we've got our 6 flat pieces, which is our 6/10. Over here, we've got our two holes, we've got the 7/100ths, which is represented by the sticks, and then we have the individual pieces, which are thousandths, and we have 5 of those. So we have 2 and 6/10 here, we have 2 and 75 thousandths over here. It should be pretty clear to you which one of these is bigger. We clearly have more pieces here than we have here, so 2 and 6/10 is definitely going to be bigger than 2 and 75 thousandths. The other method that I really like to use for this is to get the same amount of decimal places. It doesn't matter how many zeros you add to the end of any of these numbers, they're going to be the same. For instance, on 2 and 6/10, I can put a couple zeros here, and that doesn't change the number. Because if I put a 0 here, that's just saying that I have 0 hundredths. If I put a 0 here, that's just saying that I have 0 thousandths. So now that my two numbers have the exact same number of places, it should be really easy to tell, and we can just start with the biggest and move down the line. They each have 2 holes, which would be 2 of those cubes, the full cubes. This has 6 of the flat pieces, 6/10, where this has none of the flat pieces. You can stop right there. If you have the same number of places and you go straight down the line, as soon as you find one that's bigger, you can stop. So the 2 was the same on both of them. Okay, the 6 is bigger than this 0, so this whole number is going to be bigger. Two ways to do this. We can either get our picture up there, or we can get the same amount of decimal places and go from there. Alright, here's the next one we're going to do. We're going to do 4 and 113 thousandths, and we're going to compare that to 4 and 9 hundredths. So write those down, and then I'm going to put the visual up here for you to take a look at. Alright, visually let's take a look at this. We've got our 4 holes here and our 4 holes here. Okay, we've got the 4 big cubes. Those are the same in both. We need to look at the rest of the pieces. We've got 1/10 here, which is a flat piece. Okay. Over here we don't have any flat pieces, but we have a lot of these. We've got a lot of hundredths, but it's going to take 10 of these sticks even to make one of these flat pieces. And I think we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these sticks. So we would not be able to make one of these flat pieces. So this is going to be bigger because we have one flat piece here. We've only got 9 sticks here. So our first one is definitely going to be bigger. Now all I've done on here is even up the amount of decimals that we have, and all I really had to do was add 1 0 to the end of this one. Now we should be able to line these up and kind of easily tell which one of these is bigger. So I'm just going to go straight on down the line here. I've got 4 holes here and I've got 4 holes here. Those are both the same. I've got 1/10, which was a flat piece here. I've got no tenths here. Stop. You don't have to do anything else. As soon as you find one that's not a match, you're in good shape. So this was good and this was good. Those were the same. We went to the next one. We've got a difference. We've got a 1 here. We've got a 0 here. 1 is bigger than 0. 1/10 would be bigger than 0/10. It doesn't matter how many we have down here because we don't have enough of the sticks to make up for this flat piece right here. Okay, so that means that our first decimal is going to be bigger than our second one. All right, record these two down because this is going to be the next one we're looking at. We've got 5/10ths over here, and we've got 500 thousandths over here. We're going to use the computer to compare, and then we're going to do an example on here. Now, I put both examples on here. We've got our 5/10ths, and we've also got our 500 thousandths over here. Now, you'll notice something interesting about this. They're exactly the same. If you think about it, my 5/10ths has 5 in the tenths place, and that's all it has. My 500ths, or 5,000ths, excuse me, my 5,000ths has a 5 in the tenths place, but it has 0 here and 0 here. So if you look at them, they have the exact same number of pieces. They both have 5 in the tenths place, so these are going to be equal. Now if we take a look and we even up the amount of numbers, I just added 2 zeros at the end of this to make it match up to how many places it had, because it doesn't matter if I put zeros in it because all I have here is 5/10ths anyways. So if I put 0 here, that means I have 0 hundredths, 0 thousandths. It's still the same thing. Now if you look at it, I've got the exact same number of numbers in both, so it's easy to compare. I've got 5 in the tenths, I've got 5 in the tenths. That's the same. I've got 0 in the hundredths, and I've got 0 in the hundredths. That's the same. I've also got 0 in the thousandths and 0 in the thousandths. That's the same. So these two are going to be equal. We're going to look at more than one set of numbers here. We're going to actually order these from least to greatest. Okay, least to greatest. So what I want you to do is copy these numbers down, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to even out the number of decimal places they have, and that's going to be very easy. So copy these down, and then we'll head on to the next part. Alright, if you notice here, all I did was take the numbers I have, make sure they had the same number of decimal places. They all go out to the thousandths place now. I just put them in line so the decimal point is all lined up because that makes it really easy to tell. Now I'm going to denote the smallest one with a 1, the biggest one with a 5, and go from there. This one should be pretty easy to tell the biggest one. 42 is bigger than 4, which is bigger than 4, which is bigger than 4, which is bigger than 4. Okay, 42 wholes is bigger than this. This is like saying I would have 42 of those big cubes. These I would only have 4 of those big cubes. So clearly that's going to be the biggest. So I'm going to stick a 5 by that one. Now let's look and see what we have left here. I've got 4 big cubes for every single one. So now we need to go to the flat pieces, the tenths, the flats. Okay. So for the tenths, I've got 2/10, 5/10, 2/10, 3/10. Okay. Now I'll take out the biggest one out of this because I know that this is going to be the biggest one. The 5 is going to be the biggest one because I have 5/10. Okay. I'll put a 4 by that. That's the second biggest. This is going to be the third biggest because I have a 3 there. 5, then 3. Okay. It's going to be the next. Now, my only other thing is I've got to choose between these two to see which one the smallest one is. Okay, we already said that I've got a 4 and a 4. Now I've got 2 flat pieces, 2/10, and 2 flat pieces here, 2/10. I've got 5 sticks, which is 5/100ths, 5 sticks, which is 5/100ths. Now I need to go to those little tiny pieces, the thousandths. I don't have any little tiny pieces here. I've got one of those little tiny pieces here. So this one actually beats this one, or is bigger than this one by one of those tiny cubes. So this is the smallest one, and this is going to be the next one up. So if you just put them, line them up with those decimal points going straight down there, give them the same number of decimal places by adding some zeros, this becomes pretty easy. Alright, I want to have you take a turn here to try these on your own. Why don't you go ahead and write these down and give me a greater than, less than, or equal to. If you need to use your computer and use the visuals, do it. If you just want to add the zeros and line them up, do it. Okay? Whichever way is best for you. 3 separate problems here, and then start the video up and we'll discuss. Alright, I have added the zeros. Okay? So now we're going to see which is bigger out of our 3 here, our 3 sets. First one's easy now because I've got a 6 in the tenths and a 5 in the tenths. 6 flat pieces compared to 5 flat pieces. 6 flat pieces is always going to be bigger than 5 flat pieces, so we should have this. Okay. Now, next set. Going down the line here. 7 flat pieces, 8 flat pieces. Okay, that was quick too. 8 is bigger than 7. Last set. When I add these zeros, both of them have two big cubes, 2 big holes. They both have 2 flat pieces. They don't have any hundredths or any of the sticks, and they don't have any thousandths, which are the teeny tiny small pieces. These equal up to exactly the same. Alright, last one we're going to try here. Put these in order from, let's go least to greatest. Least, put a 1 beside, the greatest one do a 4, and everything in between. Try this out and see how you do. Alright, I just put the correct number of decimals over there. I gave each one of them up to the thousands place, up to 3 places. Let's see which one's biggest, which one's smallest. Okay, they all have the same number of tenths, so we don't really even need to look at those. They all have 4 flat pieces, so I'm not going to worry about the 4 flat pieces because they're all the same amount. Now, if we go to the tenths place, or the hundredths place, okay, the hundredths place is the sticks. None of the sticks, none of the sticks, 5 of the sticks, 3 of the sticks. This one is definitely the biggest one. Okay, our original 4500 is the biggest one because it has 5 sticks. That only has 3. That doesn't have any. So that's going to be my biggest one. Okay, my second biggest one is this one because it has 3 sticks. That doesn't have any of them. So that's 3. Second biggest. Now we just have to decide between our 4 tenths and our 104 thousandths. Pretty easy to tell. Neither of them have any of those sticks, but when we look at the thousandths pieces, when we look at those tiny miniature pieces, this has one of them, this doesn't have any of them. So this is definitely going to be our smallest one. This would be our second smallest one.